Man, is that a smooth jam? Welcome to Denver After Dark, where we play all your greatest hits. Because boy, do we have a show tonight. I tell you, Doug and I spent some quality time in New York, and we've done some things. But I tell you, tonight I'm going to get right to it because, well, I want to wait. I know the listeners come on, pretty hard, but and Mike just said it's soft porn music. Thanks, Mike. I, which is, I mean, I don't want to attract too many MAGA people in here, right? If we're doing that kind of stuff. So now I got to get my private chat up, or Doug's going to really get mad at me. So let me do this real quick. There we go, Doug. I don't want you to get mad at me. So, it's great to be here live. As you guys know, we do a lot of preparation, but tonight's going to be pretty special. I put out some stuff I want to talk about, like Epstein distraction stuff, which is still there. Actually, Russia and Putin, but specifically the Trump-Putin meeting. But I'm going to go into this in a way I don't think you guys have ever expected, because I'm going back to Ukraine for a third time. And I think that's really what I want to talk about too, is what that looks like, right? And what I have to do, and what I actually, I would say, experience. But I've been to Eastern Europe multiple times, and I think that's another thing that to establish bona fides, right, for what I'm about to tell you tonight and what I've done in my life as far as intelligence work. We're going to talk a little spy stuff tonight, and we're going to talk disinformation and propaganda, and we're going to talk about a different way of approaching politics tonight. And I know 100% you don't get this from other channels, what I'm about to tell you tonight. I don't know if people can tell you spy stories or Bigfoot stories or UFO stories. I'm not quite comfortable enough with you guys yet to tell the prom stories, but they'll come, so to speak. And then, we want to make sure also that some of the other stories that I tell you guys, I've only really touched only a portion of things. Thanks, Doug, as we get more and more people coming on. And by the way, it's funny, I can see the people that are on just on one of the channels. But I have obviously my Denver After Dark, the DAD, the Big Dad channel. We're also streaming on Mighty Peculiar. We're also on Substack. And I just got a Twitter account, guys. Can you believe that? Denver After Dark Twitter. Sort of when I try to post there, I'm like a monkey humping a football. So I actually have to hire some people, right, to help me so I can get to all the media channels. We want to post to Instagram also. I just want to get it out there. Listen, I'm not, as you guys know, I don't monetize this channel, right? I mean, we do. If I do monetize it, I'm going to give Doug all the money. He deserves it because he's the one who does all the work. So, I just want to make sure that you guys understand what's going on. So here we go. So in 1999, I was deployed to the Romanian-Serbian border for Operation Allied Force. I was the first intelligence officer, and we were the first group in there. And I would say military intelligence, because I wouldn't know, even with my clearances, if there had been other ops that were going on, since 1946 in Romania by other U.S. intelligence and friendly intelligence services. But as far as a military group, we were the first official military group to be in Romania since 1946. And we deployed to a town called Craiova. You guys can look on the map, 50 to 60 miles from the Serbian border. Obviously, that's not where we were doing our ops, but that's where we were deployed, and even stayed at a hotel there called the Hotel Jul, which means Hotel West. I think it's still there. I was looking at Google Maps the other day, wondering if I should take my wife, to Romania, to go through Romania and Hungary to the Serbian border where I was, show her everywhere, all the places that I'd been during those ops. So anyhow, I was there, and my job, we were actually using a huge thing called a TPS-75 radar, but I was also doing human intelligence. I was doing electronics intelligence, but we were sort of modeling the battlefield for missions that were going on in Serbia and Kosovo. So pretty incredible, right? I was a second lieutenant, and I walk in as an SIO, senior intelligence officer. Now I was prior enlisted, so I had a little bit of stink on me. I was a little bit salty, but obviously, again, I was very, very wet behind the ears when I go in there. And the thing is that, my stupidity actually saved my life. I'm going to get into that pretty quickly. So sometimes you get a medal for stupidity. I have a lot of them. So anyhow, I the first few days were pretty incredible. It was supposed to be a top secret mission. I remember we landed in the morning in a C-130 about 0300. It was 3 a.m. I remember us landing, and it was supposed to be top secret. And when we landed lights out. So we landed lights out in the border, and on a third, like a third world runway. I remember coming into Craiova, we're like, oh my God. I mean, We thought the flight was dangerous. We came in a storm. It was bumpy. We had a lot of turbulence. Come in, hit a third world runway. I think we hit every pothole, with the C-130. So we actually stop, and a light comes on at the end of the runway. Now, think about this, guys. Where nobody's supposed to know we're landing except for NATO and PFP forces, Partnership for Peace. We land, and there's like 500 Romanians there clapping and greeting us with Romanian Air Force and Romanian intelligence. Wasn't the most secret mission. And I remember my colonel looking at me like, what the hell, Chunk? What's going on here, man? I mean, God damn it, Lieutenant. This is supposed to be top secret. Aren't you intel? I'm like, sir, I didn't plan this op. What? I didn't. That's on you. You're the colonel. I'm just a lowly lieutenant. So we get off there, and what's interesting is that they didn't have any tow equipment. They actually were pushing planes out of the way while we were taxiing humans, and some of them were like AN-2s, like old Korean aircraft. So that's how it started. So about 3 days later, I briefed the guys on what to do. We were setting up our tent city out near the border, dealing with a lot of bugs in our food at the time. Remember, this is Romania 99. And I remember I'm sitting outside, and beers were 50 cents a beer at the Hotel Jules Cafe. I was just incredible, right on the main drag there. And I'm sitting there, and there's somebody taking pictures of me over to my right-hand side, and I'm looking there. I'm like, why is this guy taking pictures of me? So I sort of stand up, and, I've had some training, guys. I mean, I didn't go in there like, you're just an intelligence officer. It's not like making RFK Jr. like the HHS secretary, right? Or Christy Nolan, the DHS secretary with no experience, right? Or Pete Hegseth, right? As SecDef, I actually was trained. So I'm sitting there, and a lady comes up to my other side. So I got a guy taking pictures at me. Another lady comes in, sits down while I'm sitting there, and I'm standing, and I sit down, I'm like, well, how are you? She goes, hello, my name is, I can't say the name, by the way, even though it was a cover name. I'm a reporter for the local newspaper, and I'd really like to know about your operations here. This is fantastic. What can you tell me? I said, well, I really don't know. This is my first time here, and, we really don't know what's going on yet. The evasive answers that were sort of taught in our basic interrogation training, and I didn't immediately listen, guys. I'm a second lieutenant. My first major deployment. I'd only been out of intel school for 2 months? Pretty crazy. So she's asking me all these questions, and I'm, the thing is that I've learned in life, if I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing, I shut the hell up. And she's asking me questions, and I'm just sort of like, I don't know. And I'm listening more than talking. And finally she goes, well, I have this thing that I got from a source, one of your military friends, that I'd like to show you. So I'd love to see that. I said, there's only a few of us here. Well, how many are here? Well, I don't, it depends. They come and go. I was just ridiculous. Tried, because I didn't even know at the time I'm dealing with a professional, right? I found out, like, literally, I had a feeling, but I found out about 24 hours later. I think I probably found out 24 seconds later, because here's what happened. I found out who it was 24 hours later. So she slides this thing over, and it's something I can't even tell you guys. And I couldn't believe this person had this piece of material on aircraft mission planning. And I'm looking at it, and she looks at me, and I look at her, and she goes, do you know what that is? I said, is that a painting? What? I didn't even know what to say. I mean, like, what do you say? I'm looking at classified material in front of me on one of those like metal, like cheap tables, that's like mesh, right? Sitting there. I'm surrounded by my GIs drinking 50-cent beers. I'm sitting there. It's late May, 1999. Actually, a gorgeous day. I remember, and I remember. So I didn't even know I'm getting interrogated, and I have somebody taking pictures of me. So at that point, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't strike up this person in conversation. I mean, I had like sort of this bizarre middling honey trap with this photographer over here claiming to be a reporter. So we do a op for a week. I say I'd like to see her again. We'll talk about it. I contact OSI. I got people all around me. We have special people in country. It's a whole thing. And then I have to go debrief in Bucharest like 3 weeks later. So I guess what I'm telling you guys as I get to this next part, I've done some shit in my life. And that's why I just need you guys to know my bona fides here. So let's talk about Anna Paulina Luna, everybody's favorite person. And I know I said that there was a lot of stuff to talk about, but this just happened, and I want to do a little teaching thing here, and I get excited about this because, again, I want you guys to hear stuff you can never hear anywhere else. So Anna Paulina Luna texts or tweets that Zelensky is funneling $50 million in absconded funds into accounts in the UAE. And it has a little MSN butterfly header on it. I don't know if you guys have seen this tweet yet. I'm getting into it now, guys. Here we go. So I don't know if you guys have seen this tweet yet. So I look at this tweet and I'm like, well, that's Russian propaganda. Like, as somebody who's done this for so long, right? So long. I'm 55 years old. I know I look 54, but I'm 55 years old, right? So I've done this for so long. I'm like, well, that's obviously Russian propaganda. I can't believe a congressional representative is now. Of course, I can believe it with the insanity here, but this is what I'm getting to. Like, well, how do I? First, I put out a tweet saying it's Russian propaganda. Then I'll put it all on top of it. Why? Because it's like a teaching point, but nobody cares, right? Because they're either complicit or they're unwilling to learn. They're ignorant. They're crazy, but they're pro-Russian shills at this point. Because if you post something like that, that's coordinated right after the Putin meeting, the Putin-Trump meeting, this is a coordinated, most likely a coordinated NRCC, right, or RNC type of thing. And think about this, guys, what I'm about to tell you, because I'm saying this in a very even voice. You guys know I don't yell, I don't scream. What I'm telling you should absolutely terrify you. So I'm like, well, what's the source of this? Do you know how hard it was for me to find the source? And I know this is I'm going to go through something here really quickly. The first source I see is Inalik, right? So it's spelled AYD. And I want you guys to look this up, INLIK. It's actually a Turkish newspaper. This Turkish newspaper actually represents the Patriot Party in Turkey. Like, well, what's the Patriot Party, Demer? Well, the Patriot Party is a pro-Russia, so pro-Putin, pro-Xi party within Turkey that's also pro-Erdogan. Now, remember this. So now you have this as a source, right? It's a Turkish pro-Russian party rag. It's a propaganda rag that poses as news. Where did they get it? Well, it looks like this was dropped. Well, and no, I know because the link underneath that says Sputnik. So if you go there, it's Sputnik TR or Sputnik Global. Sputnik Global is literally a Russian propaganda service. Sputnik News, guys. It's called Sputnik, right? So you have Sputnik and a Turkish newspaper. What they do is they cross-reference. So a Russian group, they do an oppo dump, an opposition dump of disinformation or propaganda. It goes to sort of posers, right, in the Russian press world, sort of like RT, right, Russia Today. So you got Sputnik, right, and you have the Turkish newspaper, right, and so you have both of these papers. And what they're doing is they're publishing this nonsense. Well, then all of a sudden I start to track it. It goes to stuff like the Daily Mirror in New Zealand, like a lot of like side publications. And as those side publications, it starts to replicate. It's sort of like a cough in an airplane. You have a disinformation, bump. It's the person in the back. They cough. The spittle goes everywhere. Then two people have it. And that's how propaganda and disinformation work. The thing that the Russians know right now is that we have such a willing and complicit congressional caucus, right, that's willing to do these things. And you also have a media that's complicit with laziness and incompetence and being access whores. You have this perfect bloom where they can plant these propaganda seeds and it blooms, right, and people sniff it, right? It's like the poppy for idiots. So if you go there right now, you see this actually bloom, right? You can start to watch and build a wire diagram from the initial oppo dump all the way up. What does this sound like? It sounds like the Donald.com and the J6 conspiracy theories, right? Or it sounds like Comet Ping Pong, right? Pizzagate, which started from foreign sources and then went into 4chan, propagated on Twitter, and then you have somebody shooting stuff and you have Republicans running on Hillary eating babies. And as you know, we talked about, right? We talked about Pizzagate. We talked about Wayfair, right? We talked about Frazzle Drip in one of the last shows. Wow, full circle. That propaganda line that you see is this same exact propaganda line. It formulates, it germinates, it seeds in shit. That shit being propaganda, right? But then it spores out. And those spores then hit incompetent and lazy journalists that put it on weird things like maybe MSN New Zealand or MSN Djibouti or, MSN Azerbaijan, whatever. And then you have other people looking for clicks. Then you have the clickbait hordes come up, right? They're sniffing, right? They want to get money. They want to get dollars. They're sniffing around like baby. Clickbait hordes, right? So now from Sputnik News, a Russian news source, you have now a global spread in sort of marginal press. And then one dumbass has to pick it up. That's a lazy POS. That lazy POS is going to be a journalist looking for clicks, goes to an editor and say, look, I have 17 sources telling me that Zelensky, right, is funneling $50 million a month or whatever to the UAE. Think about what I'm telling you. By the way, when we used to Oppo dump, I'm going to teach you guys a lesson. They said that you have 4 sources. They can actually double count sources depending on what they give you. And I can go into that in another show. So sometimes when they say 4 sources, it's only 2. And if they say 2 sources, it's only 1, depending on how they count sources. That's how they get away with the multi-sourcing when it comes to oppo dumps or opposition dumps when you're going against somebody. I hope everybody's having some fun here and learning something. If you're not, well, I'm sorry. I apologize. But I had to get this out so that we can sort of baseline the next Denver After Darks so you know what I'm talking about when I talk about the propaganda bloom. So where does that end up, guys? You think about everything. Think about the Epstein files. Think about UFOs and alien abductions. Think about the lies, firing the BLS director, right? The lies on the numbers that are coming out or jobs numbers. What can you, actually even, believe about this government? Think about the criminal statistics in DC or the fact that they're declaring an emergency or they're going to go into other cities and the lies about the emergency, right, of the immigrant invasion emergency. This is all lies. And the thing that's so incredible is the very party, the Republicans who talk about conspiracy theories, are actually the ones that are doing what they accuse others of because they're dumb and they want to win. But it's also a complicit media that doesn't know how to source, and you have this lack of talent. They're also access whores, and you also have this sort of this compliance and advance going on at the same time. And then what happens? Congress reports on it, and they have stuff like the Comer briefings for Hunter Biden. Same thing. Russian sources. Proven. Sanctioned Russian sources on the first 2020 report that for the Biden thing, right? And you guys, I did all the data. There's nobody knew more about data than J6 Hunter Biden than me. I'm the one in the world globally. It's just me out of 7 billion people. Now, if you guys want to talk about, how to look good on a first date and stuff like that, I'm last out of 7 billion. Just want to let you guys know. So when we're talking about this, now you have Anna Paulina Luna picking it up and sourcing it and has an MSN butterfly on there. Go look at it. Then look at the sourcing. We have a congressional representative that just pushed Russian propaganda out at the same time, right? That we're talking about the Russian Putin, the Putin-Trump summit and Zelensky meeting with leaders, European leaders and Trump. That's called coordinated messaging. That's coordinated. It's coordinated. I don't have the words to tell you the fear I have and how that's been building since my speech in October of 2020 about QAnon. I was alone, guys. I was just looking at the data. When you're looking at, Facebook and private channels, and you're looking at the Donald, and you're looking at 4chans, you're looking at all the chans, you're looking at encrypted message boards, and you're seeing like, we need to kill law enforcement. We need to kill Congress. The storm, as you guys know, in QAnon circles, the storm was actually to take elected representatives out and try them for crimes or execute them. I mean, that's what the storm was. That's why I'm still like my mind is blown that people aren't still. January 6th was a coup attempt. It's so obvious. I saw the data, and I think maybe I need to re-release the Meadows text, but it's so obvious. And then I see all of it encompassed in Anna Paulina Luna's weirdly timed and coordinated tweet on Zelensky embezzling money and sending it to the UAE. Now, I do business in the UAE sometimes. I'm all over the world, as you guys know. Poland, Moldova, Ukraine, Abu Dhabi, right? I'm going to London to speak to some royalty folks in October, right? I'm everywhere, right? As you know, I'm the world's most successful one-term congressman. So, so you have all this happening, right? But what you're talking about with Luna is so dangerous because this is spread over an entire ecosystem. And I think it's time to make a jump. I think it's time to make a jump from resistance politics to confrontation politics. Me and Doug had an incredible conversation about this before. And he said, Denver, well, what do we do? Right? I mean, if you're seeing this coming, and I tried to warn in December of 2020, if you guys watch my December 10th, 2020 speech on the floor about, fantasy creating violence, this is the thing that scares me more than anything is that we're going to have people who believe that aliens are in the Bible, or they believe that there's supernatural wizards talking to them, or they're getting direct, prophecy in their foreheads. Or you have people who believe in interdimensional beings, or people who can't source, or people who are incompetent, people that are stupid, people that are ignorant, people that are sort of infected with credulity, making decisions for all of us. And I telling you right now, stupidity is terminal. Stupidity is terminal. And if we don't get our arms around this, we're in really big trouble. We're in huge trouble now. Our institutions are already crumbling. There is no global engagement center. The GEC was disbanded by President Trump. Do you guys know what the GEC was? The GEC was the one who tracked foreign disinformation and subversive information that tried to destroy American institutions from foreign governments. GEC is gone, right? A lot of our foreign government systems are gone. I don't know what to do. As somebody who's been in the intelligence business, you have to have a framework of protection, not just physically, but digitally. Free speech is an incredible thing. First Amendment is an incredible thing, but foreign actors shouldn't be allowed to manipulate the entire ecosystem, especially when that ecosystem leads to violence. What is confrontation politics? I was telling Doug, I always saw resistance politics as we're still trying to give grace, right? There might be a 1% to 3% that we can pull back over to us. I think confrontation politics is something completely different. I think you never allow stupidity to go unanswered, whether you're in your crowd or anything. It's uncomfortable and it's awful. But if somebody comes up to you and says that, the Ukrainians are Nazis, that's why we need to support the Russians, you need to chop that narrative off, right? You need to bring a 1,000,000-pound shit hammer to every fight. That's all there's no way to get across for them. I was at the Dropkick Murphys concert, right, on Saturday night. Oh, last night. Yeah, it's been 24 hours of fun. I spent all day with Ken, right? Lead singer, incredible. Mike Fanone and I were there, right? And Mike's there. And so it's me, Mike Fanone, a bunch of Ukrainian friends, and me and Mike are talking. And, we had a great discussion sitting there, eating with the crew. I got to, eat back with the band and the managers, just a fantastic time. They had a great arcade back there. It was great. Me and Mike, came to the same conclusion. We're beyond trying to persuade people to come over to reality. That's gone. So and Mike and I, we've been talking a bit, and if that's gone, what do? You have to mobilize the sane and the rational. And, what scares me too, and you guys know we'll have another talk about this, you don't want to go so far over, right, when you're trying to mobilize that you give into conspiracy theories on the other side, because then it can get really hairy and very, very crazy. You have to be confrontational on the sane side. Your reality, guys, has to meet the energy of the insane. So in that vein, Doug wrote this great song. So when we're talking about politics, right, when we're going from, the confrontational or from the resistance to confrontational, and I think that's where we need to be. There comes a time where you can use humor as your shit hammer, right? But you can also use somebody very talented, right, like Doug, to help with music and lyrics and an idea that we had. And then you need an incredible David Lee Roth type of frontman for this type of music, right? Has, fairly decent voice, but can do the splits in the air and, does not wear, plastic butt cheek pants. Like, I'm not going to do that. But so that's right. I'm now, I'm Denver Lee Roth, DLR, right? So Denver Lee Roth. So we have a little bit of song. It's on Spotify. We released it. And after this, I hope that I helped. Doug's probably like, Dan, I love it when you get into these rants, right? Because I have a lot of knowledge that I want to just just in part because if you're listening to me, you're actually genius IQ, right? I'm kidding. But, there's so much, but really what it comes down to is everything. You have to assume that everything that comes from the administration at this point is a lie or propaganda driven based on ignorance or credulity. That's the baseline that you have to accept whatever you're seeing until you source it. And everybody listening to me needs to attack, right, the Luna text. Please, everybody on here, go see what I'm talking about. Go look at the sourcing line. And I hope this helped all of you. I really do. And let me know in the comments if it did help you or any questions that you have on it. So, by the way, we're going to play the first part of the video. The whole song is actually available on Spotify. I'm very excited. I think we're going to do an album. Doug and I have talked about writing an album. Because of the brilliance of this song. And because if we're this brilliant, I mean, can you imagine the follow on, right? This is like the first Jaws, guys. I mean, it's that good. So here we go. Now, I can't play the whole video because I got a lot of issues coming at me right now. So we will release the whole video at some time, but we're going to play the first part. And then I think, Doug, we can keep the song going, right? So it's not long. It's a short song. So if you guys are ready for the world premiere of Denver Riggleman and the Scullies, I think Doug is ready to play the song. Doug, rock.
Hey, Dollar Tree Nazis, get your military off our streets. And your dumb skinhead fashion, you unfuckable spastics, your recycled douchebags. Hey, Dollar Tree
I was like, cut it off. So there you go. Just a little teaser on the video. So I hope you guys like it. I don't know what the comments look like. They sort of exploded. What's going on over there? But I need, go and attack Luna. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bee's Knees goes, wow. I'm like, I don't know what that wow. Is that a sarcastic wow? That's awesome. Good. I love it. Me too. Guys, go to Spotify. I need you to spread it around the world. By the way, I mean, it was a fun video, guys. I'm a happy guy because this song is so brilliant. I'm telling you, it's Doug and Matt Anderson, just did an incredible job on the song. Just amazing. And, yeah, I think, and I was trying to talk to Doug. I think I came up with that. And then we were talking about, how do you actually, go after some of these individuals, right? And I think it's through music and dance. Music and dance. That's what we want to do. Anyway, if there's any questions, I'd like to in the last few minutes here. As you guys know, I don't want to take a lot of your time. I could go all night right now. I mean, so to speak. But I really am excited about when I get to do this. I do wish I could teach again, right? Intelligence dance off. With who though, Tim? We are the champions too. We are Bee's Knees, right? It is. It's a singable hook. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm writing this other song, and I'm just going to say it, Doug. I sold my soul to Mar-a-Lago. I'm writing this song. And Doug is such a genius because I'm like, I have these like sort of really cool lyrics that I want to do some crazy stuff with. He's like, Denver, once you hit this one portion of the song, it's got to be a message, just like boom. So we're working on that right now. And I think we could have a whole catalog. I think it could be sold to Sony, like probably as high as like the Bob Dylan catalogs and stuff. I think that's the kind of talent that we have. So I'm pretty excited about that. Confrontational politics, guys. Obviously, at no time, do I want, I will keep it coming. At no time listen, this thing that scares me the most in this country is political violence. When you have 400 million plus guns in this country. And when you think about J6, right, the number of veterans and law enforcement that were involved, there is an asymmetric imbalance, right? When you're talking about people that are specially trained for certain types of activities in the military, right? They're force multipliers. And it could be, you have military violence, you have people that are trained, you have militias, right? You have rural, suburban, and urban warfare, right? It's just awful. And I think the thing is, okay, it's okay to be sane. It's okay to be rational. It's not okay to cede ground to somebody who's insane at a party or something like that, where their sneeze can infect other people. The mask is sanity and rationality. And I'm imploring everyone, for the love of God, please don't allow stupid to go unchecked. It can't anymore, ever, wherever you see it. We're not going to be able to fight the propaganda channels like X because it's, well, let's be honest, it's promoted beyond where reality and sanity can be. You know, Blue Sky, great, but it's becoming an echo chamber on its own. There's something about the one-on-one confrontation that can really do things. The issue that you have, though, is that the far right is so much better at confrontational politics. I love the comment we got, right? Because I know I did it. I was really good at it. How do you guys think I won in a blue wave? If I went and told you how we did that, you'd be appalled. Now, did they hit first by accusing me of Bigfoot erotica? Yes. Yes, they did. No, don't come in here with that, because I'm a disinformation expert. You know, I remember telling my consultants I was going to run a clean campaign, and they laughed. And then literally the day after I released an anti-white supremacy editorial, I was accused of being a Bigfoot eroticist. I'm like, what? All right, let's go. You, man, you know, you got the horns on that one. So, Doug, I don't know if we have anybody who wants to jump in with a question before I end Denver After Dark. I had so much fun. I hope you guys spread this song across the world. Maybe one of the most brilliant songs ever. Doug, are we good? I can see in the camera. You got anybody? All right. So we are going to wrap it up. Nothing but love with everything. So we are going to close with the entire song. I hope everybody's ready. This is the greatest thing ever. This is like the premiere of Johnny Carson. What, Doug? Why would he even come up with that? What does that even mean? This is like it's like the first Game of Thrones episode where you actually thought it would end well, like with competent writing. So here we go. We're going to play the song, then we're out. I love everybody. Listen, we have a Denver After Dark email. Please, you guys know you can contact me, you know, Cletus, Tim, all you guys know I'm there. I will respond when I can. You guys know I'm on the road a lot, but I appreciate all of you so much. And honestly, it's almost to the point where I feel like I'm talking to friends, and I really appreciate all of you. And I thank you. And that's why I did this special song for you. Roll it, my man.
Hey, Dollar Tree Nazis, get your military off our streets. And your dumb skinhead fashion, you unfuckable spastics, your recycled douchebags. Hey, Dollar Tree Nazis, you're just discount Scientology. You're not some patriot movement, you're cosplaying subhumans and daddyless bastards. Hey, Dollar Tree Nazis. Hey, Dollar Tree Nazis. Hey, Dollar Tree Nazis.